Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. It is Mahala Monday time, everybody. Wonderful to have you here with us this evening. My name is Dougal. Before we go any further, don't forget, please like and share this. We would really, really appreciate it. Now, of course, Valentine's Day is done,
Yes.
and I've decided to wear a different outfit for today. And
like Dougal, I
I've
like.
penned you a poem.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You want to hear it?
If you, yeah, go for
Okay.
it. Let's hear it.
I'll walk the deserts of Palestine. I'll drink a gallon of turpentine. I'll even sit in a porcupine if you would only be my Valentine. Rhoda, everybody. Hello, Rhoda. How's it going? You all right?
Oh, Dougal, what a way to start the show. Well done.
You all right?
You got, I'm good, Dougal. Thanks for the laugh. I hope you didn't say that to your Valentine. Oh, my word.
No.
But yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Welcome, everyone. What did you want to say?
No, did you write me a poem?
No, I did not. Definitely not.
But you good?
I'm good.
Lovely.
Happy to be here again. Obviously on a Monday, you know. Always looking forward to our Monday evening. Having to have all our people out there watching us right now. Obviously, as I always tell them, with a cup of tea, with a coffee, or a glass of wine. Welcome.
It's great to have you with us here. As always, of course, it's an interactive show, so we look
Yes.
forward to your questions, your comments, and of course, we want to hear from you. But tonight is quite a special program,
Oh,
and we've
yeah.
been looking forward to this one, which hence explains, of course, the T-shirt that I am currently fashioning here on the show. Now, as you know, the month of February is also Pride Month, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Exciting times. And this is the reason why we actually have a very special guest on our show today. And that's why Dougal is wearing his T-shirt.
Yeah, now you might have heard of the Pride Shelter Trust. In case you haven't, joining us this evening is none other than Nicole Alexander, who's actually the director of the trust. And the Pride Shelter Trust, of course, fills a very, very important gap within our societies and within our communities, and plays a vital role. So we're going to find out everything in terms of where they operate, how it works, talk about the residents, and of course how you and I can be involved so we can all make a sort of positive contribution.
Definitely. And make a difference at the end of the day as well in our communities, Dougal. Definitely.
Yeah. So without further ado, joining us this evening live in studio, Nicole Alexander. Nicole, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant that you are here.
My
Brilliant.
goodness, I'm so excited to share our story. There's so much to share. There's so much where people can also get involved in. But I think we believe that we cannot hold everything to ourselves. But you know, let our community know, let the country know, let the continent know, and let the whole world know that we are here. We're not going anywhere, and that's what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, thank you for having us.
Brilliant to have you. And I want to dive straight into this because the Pride Shelter Trust, because people might be watching this now, they might actually wonder about this. But in terms of the LGBTQ plus community, are there any shelters within South Africa that would cater to people from that community?
They would. However, they don't have a structured plan the way we do. So in other shelters, they would identify male and female, but then we would go with the whole spectrum, the whole LGBT gang. And why I'm saying that is a lot of our residents who come to us has experience being in other shelters. So they've also now had added trauma based on that experience in other shelters. So we try to make our shelter not just a safe space, but also how do you make the space as if you're staying at home or as if you're staying in a space that's safe, and how does that look like based on your sexuality. But also there's other people like us, there's other people like you in this house, and how is it going to look for you for the next 3 months? So yeah, so when I started in 2019, we needed to flip the script. So what does that mean? We want to be different to other shelters, but also knowing that Pride Shelter existed before, but it was only accommodation, feeding the people, and that was it. It never had long-term impact. And here Nicole comes, you want to do something different, but how am I going to do that? And I think it was all just about how do we treat each other? How do I treat you as a human being? So that's our first thing as our culture is we asked you, once you get into our space, is what dorm do you want to sleep in?
Okay.
You know, what are your pronouns? So we treat each other like, you know, it's not just, are you coming off the streets, but we're
Exactly.
treating you as a human being, and that for
Yeah.
us is important.
Yeah. So just on the shelter, obviously it was established in 2011.
Correct.
So how did it come about? I mean, this trust is now what, 14 years? So what is
Correct.
the story behind it?
So I cannot speak for 2019 until 2018, but I can speak about 2019 until now. Firstly, what the rumors and what people were saying about it was only catered to one race, one demographic,
Wow.
and it was only kept in that kind of network. And when I came out, I never knew about the shelter, right?
Okay.
And when I came out to my parents, yes, they were furious, but still I needed a space just to be amongst my people, be amongst people that experience similar challenges. And person of color, it wasn't accessible because it was where we're situated is in the heart of Cape Town,
Okay.
and it's quite difficult to travel to there. So when I stepped into the space, I was like, okay, firstly, how do people access this? How do people of color access it? How do the rest of South Africa
Wow.
access it? So we need to really change the narrative and understand what are we trying to achieve here. We don't just want to provide a safe space, but what more can we offer the LGBT community, whether it be through counseling services, whether it be through, let me work through my addiction challenge. Let me also understand who am I within my sexuality. So there's more to me than just my sexuality, right?
Wow.
And it was basically making this model work in a way that once you get this program, what happens next? So what is your reintegration? What does your reunification plan look like? Do I want to, have a relationship with my parents again? Do I want to form part of a group that's going to support me as a human being? Or the choice could be, look, I don't want to as well connect with my family, and that's also fine. And we can't do that for you. So there's always those choices that we give you. We don't force you into program, but we also say, look, this is what we can do for you, but also meet us halfway. Yeah.
You mentioned a moment ago in terms of the period of the residence of how long they were stunned, but I want to take a step back. So you joined in 2019. Now let's talk about you quickly, because I mean you operated this space. Now you were with Al Fitra first.
Correct.
And then eventually there was the shift, and now at the Pride shelter. But your responsibility as director of this trust. I mean, this is.
Oh my goodness.
I like the laughter because I'm thinking this is it's a bit of a heavy loaded question. And listening to everything you have said, because you have to overcome many obstacles here. We're not just dealing, it's a bit more complex than, and do forgive me for saying this, a regular shelter. If I could say it like that, because this is now a shelter that is a bit more niche, street, you know what I mean, more specialized. So your challenges immediately, I would imagine, listening to everything you've said in terms of just certain demographics, excluding certain races, and all of this. Your role as the director, this is quite a heavy story.
Yeah, so my personal story is also attached to this work.
Oh.
So because I identify as queer, I identify my pronouns as she and her. And the reason why I say that is also for people to understand, yes, I'm a director, but also I'm a human being behind the director, right?
Yeah.
And the way we want to treat ourselves as staff within this organization, this is also how we're going to treat our residents. And for me, I can't just speak, but it's also the action that's attached to it. So when I go back to my personal stories, when I came out, I wish I had this space. I wish I had these resources. But now I've got opportunity, and I've got the power and responsibility to give this to the next person, and I'm doing it. And I think it's for the grace of God that I'm doing it. And then what the challenge is with that is convincing people that this work is important. And it's not just coming from myself, but also come and meet our residents, have an opportunity to come and see the shelter. There were moments where a few of our residents had opportunities to engage with universities from overseas. They want to know what we do over here because it's part of their studies. So what do they learn from our model that they can implement overseas? So it's not just our social worker that runs our programs, but we do have external partners that wants to contribute
Contribute as well.
to the sector, but also to the residents. in a way.
And in terms of your residents, there's a specific age group that you cater to?
Correct. So it's between age 18 to 49.
Okay.
And the reason for that, if it's younger than 18, it's got different laws and legalities attached to it. So social development, they would have to step in because it would be a minor. Because now from 18 upward to adults, and we're an adult shelter.
All right.
Right? And the older ones, which it's from 49, 50, older than that, we find very challenging to reintegrate back in society. And the reasons because it's either they struggle to get employment, or they're just at a stage where this is it for me. I don't know what more I can do with my life, but now I'm at a shelter, but I don't have my exit. So for us, it's quite challenging for them to reintegrate or reunify with their family members.
And how long would a resident be at the shelter?
3 months. So within that 3 months, they get this whole package of psychosocial support services, and that can look it can look very diverse. So it could, our social worker can run the programs, where we could even get experts to come and run art therapy, for example. We can which is a topic right now, is the medication for the trans community, which is something, the president, let's not name him, but he stopped those resources for the trans community, and these residents that are quite dependent on medication right now, whether it be ARVs, whether it be a PrEP, whether it be hormones. And one of our board members who's got an organization, he stepped in and said, look, we've got some support and funds available. We want to support your residents to make sure that they get this medication. And I mean, there's a lot of clinics that caters to the queer community that has this challenge at the moment. And we just need to come together as queer communities and say, look, this is how we can support each other, because we have people that need these resources, but because it has a global impact, we need to come together and do something about it.
Look, and I mean, obviously in the last while, there's been various stories floating around locally, internationally, of funding being cut for this and the other, and happening abroad and impacting the world. We all know these sort of stories. But in terms of how the shelter, the Pride Shelter operates, because you are located within Oranjestad, which is pretty much the center of Cape Town.
Correct.
To people who might not be aware. How much support do you get from government?
So it's 50-50.
What do you mean?
So there's not much I'm quite cautious of how much I can share about government. And the thing is,
we do get some support.
We do get support.
Okay,
and I'm going to name it because I do need to acknowledge for the fact that with the building we are in, the city of Cape Town, that it belongs to them.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
So if it wasn't for the city of Cape Town to give one of their heritage buildings to us, we wouldn't have had a place, or this organization wouldn't have existed. So I need to acknowledge that. Then the Department of Social Development does give us funds to subsidize for the residents, so that covers like your meals, and then a little bit of utilities, but not a lot of our budget. But I can just say, we have to.
There's a level of support.
And then for future, there might be potential for trainings for the department. So we're like, okay, seeing that you're not able to, raise so much funds for organizations, let's see what we can do for you, in terms of exchange of learning. So let's train your staff, because we're in this together. You're supporting us as a shelter, but at the same time, let us give you some resources. So we never know what departments they can also refer us to see the model.
I know you operate obviously in the Western Cape, so you can only talk about this sort of neck of the woods. And then the rest, and in terms of national government for the rest of South Africa,
we don't get any funding.
Nothing.
At all. Nothing.
You're absolutely sure?
Absolutely sure.
Okay.
It's just the Western Cape Social Development that funds us.
Do we have a comment?
And then one international donor that's been on board for the last three years.
Wow.
All right. We do have a comment. Let's touch base with a comment, of course, and then we will take it from there. This one is
Nicole.
From Nicole, who says there's no disclosure with government and won't in the individual and corporate funding. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. So that answers it. Thank you. That answers it, yeah.
Okay, I can breathe.
So, yeah, so you can have a, thank you for
Thank you
that.
so much.
Thank you.
Nicole, thanks, Nicole.
Nicole Square. So, paint quickly before we go on and with all the other wonderful things that you do and the details. But quickly paint for us, just for somebody just watching now. Paint the picture of what would be a typical resident that makes use of the services at the Pride Shelter.
Okay, so when someone applies, so let me also just explain the process so that you can see the link. So when someone applies, they have to come through our social worker, and she does a whole screening, whether it be, it's psychosocial, which is your mental capacity, whether you're on substance abuse, and where you're at. Were you on the street? Do you come from a referral through an organization? Did social development refer you to us? So there's a series of questions. And that series of questions also determines where you're at. In terms of, she has to also, at the end of that assessment, have to make your development for you, because not everybody's development is the same. So for example, if the person is heavily addicted to a substance, unfortunately they cannot be in the space, so they'll be referred to another institution. If they are accepted, you stay there for 3 months, and for your first few days, just settle in, right? Find your feet in the house, make some friends, but it's just for you just to like, woosah, right? Then after that, now the work starts. And it's mostly mental health, discovering who you are. And that's for us, the first intention is discovering why you're here. What happened? Let's work with the trauma, right? Yeah. And it's done in a way that you control your story. It's not us telling you what to do, but we here as a guide. The social work is there for you as a guide. And then after the 3 months, let me go back. Within the 3 months, you're already thinking about your exit. So how does that exit plan look? Do I want to reunify back with families? Do I want to integrate to find a job? If that's your goal, let's see how we can assist you with that, right? And then last year, we started our second phase. So what that means is that now that you've completed the first phase, you found a job, but you're not ready yet. You still have a bit of fear and anxiety to step back into society. We've got an extra 3 months to stay. And this program really looks at, so what is really blocking my development? What's really blocking me from stepping into that, I can be now in society and not be fully dependent on the shelter. And we are still in the testing phase, so we're piloting this first. We've got 2 residents currently in the program, and both of them are working, but there's something that's still hindering them from going back. And for us is that once you've completed the first phase and the second phase, now it's like, so you now in society, and then who's your structured network that's going to be that for you? Yes, the shelter can be there. We will still give you, the services, but you can't come back.
Exactly. Can you come back after I've done my 3 months, like 5-6 months down the line, or a year down the line?
There's a waiting period. There's a waiting period, and you're going to have to go on the waiting list. But again, what we found is that even though you're on the waiting list, doesn't mean you cannot access the other services, like your psychosocial support services.
So there's those services
there's those services as well.
So you can still come to the shelter basically and still get those services if you actually need them.
Absolutely.
I want to. Do we have another comment? We're going to touch base with the comment first, yes, and then I just want the viewers just to ponder this question: the demand for somebody that would want to go here, the demand. Because you talk about a waiting list, so I'm just imagining that there's, and you said it right at the top of this, that there's just you. There's not a slew of millions of other organizations that does it. But let's touch base with a comment, and then we'll delve into that quickly. It's Mark Sauls who says, love the t-shirt. Dougal, where can I get one of my own? Well, Mark, I'm going to find out exactly how you can get one of your own, and I will guide you. And you are clearly a man of exquisite taste, Mark Sauls. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, Mark. He's a nice person. Nice person. We've got nice people watching. So in terms of going through the process, so the Department of Social Welfare, it says development would be involved. There's the social worker, the whole vetting process. Are most people just people who arrive, or that now obviously it needs to be vetted before they can join the program and join the shelter? Are most of it referrals?
50-50.
It's 50-50?
But most of it is referrals, and it's because, for example, so if they come through social development, they do their own screening.
Yes.
Right? When they come to us, we have to do another screening because maybe they've missed out information that we need, and then we have to basically get specific information for that person to be suitable for the space. Or it could be someone that's been on the waiting list. Also have to go through a screening process with our social worker. So it varies where they've or how they've known about us. Or it could be somebody that has been living on the streets or been shelter hopping, and now they're like, look, I've been in shelters, but because of my sexuality, I'm not safe anymore. Then you have to come for an interview, and the social worker will do the rest of that.
In terms of the makeup and the demographics of the residents, you have residents from all over?
Correct. So it's not just South Africa, it's most parts of
Africa.
Of Africa. And that's the intention. We want to have our footprint in the rest of Africa. And again, it's people that has run from, these countries because, running for their life.
Sure.
And they come to South Africa thinking that we've got a progressive constitution, but at the same time, they find their space as being safe. This is a safe country, but when they get here, they're still not safe. So when they get here, we're like, okay, do you have your legal documents? And I sit with somebody that don't have the legal documents, and we can't help them, unfortunately. But we do have resources that helps people with the asylum seeking paperwork. I know that UCT also assists in their legal clinic around the paperwork, but again, that also takes time. And unfortunately, it breaks my heart if I can't help that person, but if we don't abide by the law, then we can't operate. So there's also that kind of, do we help this person, but at the same time, it's going to put a risk to the organization. Exactly. But as soon as that person has their paperwork, they can come to the shelter.
Because we were talking about this earlier before we went to the comment, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but you told us off air, you said that you have capacity for 20.
Correct.
Sure.
Is there no way you could get to 25?
We would love to, but because the city, we've got a lease with now the city because it's their building, they have to make sure that the space can only accommodate.
And because in terms of fire and safety and all these sort of things.
Exactly. And it was also quite difficult during COVID. We had to reduce that numbers as well. So it was also, yes, we were catering to 20, but during COVID we had to drop to 15 and then to 10. And just making sure that we abide by the law. But as soon as the levels lifted, we went back to our regional numbers. But there is a bit of good news that the numbers will increase this year. So we're like, okay, come on.
Kind of get rid of that waiting list.
Let's make some more space, or let's get rid of some room or stuff that's in the house that's not really, we're using anymore. Let's open up some more space. Or the other option is, let's talk to other shelters. Come on, let's change their policies. Let's
collaborate in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, we're not living in those years anymore.
No,
and the
not.
thing is, let's go according to our constitution where we treat everybody, with their basic rights. And how does that look like? And there's ways of how we can do that.
There's a couple of things you said, because it's the one thing, in a lot of ways we're so progressive, and especially with our constitution. I mean, like one of the youngest constitutions in the world, exceptionally progressive. It is out there in a lot of ways. We also operate almost Stone Age mentality as
we always talk about it.
It's always this sort of contradiction, but it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
The effort's being made. Exactly. We do have another comment though, and I definitely appreciate all the comments. We really do. So please bring them along. Nicole says, can you tell us what your operations budget is per annum, and if you could, what is the most important and greatest need item that you require?
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for
That's
that.
a very important question. Wow.
You say more? Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
more?
Oh, what is your organization's capacity like in terms of workforce? And is it more volunteer based or do you have employed staff?
Thank you for
Oh,
that.
and there's another one.
Oh, and thank you. As an organization, I'm happy to provide you asylum seekers with work readiness training.
Yo,
Thank you very much.
Nicole.
Let's partner.
Oh,
There
my
we
new
go.
bestie.
Oh, wow.
More besties.
Oh, wow.
Thank
Oh,
you.
wow.
Thank you. Oh, my
wow,
goodness.
magic's
Oh,
happening
wow.
on our show tonight.
Wow.
Right here.
Thank
Right
you.
here.
Right there.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Look at her face.
Maybe I don't even know what to say.
Nicole, thank you so much.
Oh, my
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
wow.
And
Thank
then
you.
we will exchange details
Definitely.
off air.
Oh,
But in terms
wow.
of the stuff that in terms of the workforce that you have, in terms of staff, is it all volunteer based?
So we're only 5 permanent staff,
Okay.
and we depend on volunteers. We do, but all 5 of us have specific roles. So there's myself. There's Lucille's operations, there's Angelique who's a social worker, Peter who's from Malawi, he's currently Malawi but he's the cook and the house manager, and then we have Gerard who is the assistant to the house manager, and that's us as a team. Then we have the board, also volunteers. And then whatever volunteers we get, they assist in programs or at event fundraising activities. Then most of our volunteers also bring whatever skills and experience that they want to share with our residents.
Yes.
But yeah, that's us in a nutshell. And then our operations budget for the year, approximately 2 million.
Jeez.
And mostly goes to the residents, programs, groceries, maintenance of the house, and the rest we just, remunerate for staff.
Yeah.
But the most of our budget, which is what, 65% of our budget, goes towards the daily running of the shelter.
Of the shelter. And like you said, of course, you're getting some sort of contributions taken by the hand from the government, and especially with the city helping with those sort of things. But it's the daily operational costs, and that is where Joe Public can get involved in. That is where we can all get involved in. Now, in terms of would that be like the things you would need the most, like volunteer services? I mean, obviously monetary support.
So monetary, I would say yes. That's an ongoing support.
Yes.
But at the same time, I believe that if it could be like groceries, people just dropping off groceries would be a big need.
Toiletries.
Toiletries is a big need.
Yeah.
Clothes, because people that come there, they just get there with stuff on their backs or something in the bag, and that's it. And tomorrow they go for an interview, then don't have clothes. So we'll have, there's clothes for them ready. Go and see in the store and what you need for go for an interview. Toiletries that you mentioned. So when residents come when they're accepted, you get your bed assigned, you get a toiletry pack, whatever clothes you need, and then whatever necessities, basic stuff that you'll need for the next 3 months, we'll provide for you. Then at the end of within those 3 months, if you get a job and you feel like, okay, you don't need our supplies anymore, you can buy your own, whatever products you like, by all means do that. But at the same time, yes, there's the monetary need that's there, but it's also for us the resources like your bedding, your clothes, your toiletries, your food. That also just takes out a lot of the pressure from us because, food is expensive right now. And yeah, we've had a number of corporates that's just, even if it's Pride Month or Youth Month, they'll just drop off boxes and say, look, this is for you.
Oh, wow.
And that for me, it goes beyond.
Yeah. But it shouldn't just be in Pride Month.
It shouldn't be. I was going to
Exactly.
say now.
Pride Month.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
Shouldn't be.
I'm still very excited because of what Nicole just said a short moment ago. I've kind of lost my groove here. But,
I love it. Oh my goodness.
it's absolutely. Once again,
Thanks,
really,
Nicole.
really,
Wow.
and this is what this is all about. This is about having the conversation going, and we're going to delve in how people can get involved with it.
Yeah.
But going right back to the beginning part of the residents get vetted. These are people who, like you've said, who've been unemployed, where abuse has played a big part, where people have fled for their lives, and of course, because we're talking about sexual orientation here. So this is already a person that might have been marginalized in so many shapes and forms, and now has got everything, and now all of a sudden mental health becomes like a big thing. It compounds in a big way. And it is, to me, it is sad that we're sitting in 2025 and that we're still compounding these other problems on top of things.
Exactly.
Is there a way forward?
Oh.
You sitting in the cauldron here, you sitting in the kitchen. Is there a way forward? How do we, as everyday society and communities, how do we start changing to make things better so we don't put the rest of our community members, the rest of society, our fellow man? Because if somebody's fleeing for their life, I'm sorry, humanity is out of the window here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if that becomes a scapegoat, what is there that we start doing just to change it a bit, make it easier?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would ask is, how do you want to be treated at the end of the day as human being, you know? And how does that look like? Because I'm sure that you don't want to be treated as, you know, worse than an animal, or if I can put it like with disrespect, or you want to be marginalized, or you just ask like, how do you want to be treated? Because that's how we approach our clients, or that's how the culture is. Treat someone the way you want to be treated. And I mean, that's olden days teachings, the way I grew up, you know, treat someone with respect, say thank you and please.
Yeah.
When did we lose that?
Yeah.
When did we lose those values?
So
And I
true.
think it's also just the openness to learning. Why are we not becoming open to learning something new? And I
Yeah.
think if we're blocking ourselves from something new, you will always feel like what you've been taught, that's going to fall away. But if you're not opening your mind to something new, what's the possibility of us moving forward together? Right?
Exactly.
You have your opinion, I'll respect that. I'll have my opinion, you respect that. And
Exactly.
at the end of the day, who really cares about it? But at the same time is, we have to move forward as a community. How do we live together, you know? So I think there is hope. And it all comes down to, at the end of the day, how do I treat you as a human being?
Exactly.
If we take away all those labels.
Yeah.
Because even within the community, which we're also not talking about, we discriminate against each other.
Oh, yeah.
There's also challenges within us as queer people that we're not talking or tackling, and we're not addressing it. So I just also wanted to highlight that it's not just heterosexuals and LGBT people, but it's also within the community that we experience it. And I think that at the end of the day, just take away those labels. We're just human beings. Let's just chill, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody just needs to calm down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that because I promised Mark. How can he get a t-shirt? Because I was gonna do it right at the end, but I'm scared I forget Mark. Mark falls on that. How can Mark? If Mark had to make a donation,
Yes.
would that get him? Can I tell Mark? If you make a donation, there it is. Details are on the screen. There we go. Nicole will make sure you get one.
Yes, you can
Mark
contact
only.
me directly.
And if your name is Mark, all the Mark is a popular name. All the Marks, Johns, Sipus, Mohammed, all the popular names. If your surname is Lee, biggest surname in the world, Lee. There we go.
Donate.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
I just wanted to jump on quickly, take a few steps back quickly as well. Because obviously now they're in the program, the age group, because we spoke about it earlier as well, before the show as well. Our age group was basically, I think you said from 18 to what?
49.
49.
But what you're finding in the house, what your popular age group as such is from 18 onwards?
Correct.
So my concern and my question was, obviously, they need to be integrated for work, obviously, as well, and then back to the families, hopefully. So the challenge you have with the families, is there a way that you guys then connect with the families? How do you then kind of break that? There's a bridge that you need to get them to cross. How do you do that? Because in society, obviously, today, church, religion, the older generation, don't look at my grey hair people, you know, they do sit with these challenges as well, that we were raised totally different on the acceptance of, you know, your child at the end of the day. How do you guys breach that?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. And part of the process of you being there, it's also having opportunities to go back, visit your family. So you'll have maybe in the weekends or during the week, sleep out, go and connect again, you know.
Okay.
But we need to know where you're going to be. And also that's an opportunity for you now to rebuild that relationship, right? Restart and like say, okay, I'm sorry for what happened. And if that doesn't work, there's an opportunity for your parents or whoever that person or persons is to come to the shelter and have a reconciliation process.
Oh, wow.
And the social worker will be there to mediate. So that you don't feel like you're with this person alone in the room, or you don't know how to interact with this person. So the social worker really kind of counsels and guides that process.
beautiful.
And there's times where in that moment and you find like, okay, it's still a bit uncomfortable. Again, it's your choice as this person to say, look, I can't, I'm not ready. And that's fine. But know at the end of the 3 months or end of 6 months that you're here, that you're going to have to leave. And also, again, what does that plan look like? But we do provide you with that opportunity. Again, it's your choice. We cannot force the relationship.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, on that, the back of what you have just said, in terms of success stories, I'm sure there are thousands. Is there one or two that I could drag out of you?
Yes.
Just one.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So this person, they trans. They were addicted to drugs. They were on the streets because of their sexuality, and they came to the shelter, went through our programs. While they were at our programs, they volunteered for us, and once they were done with our program, they went into studying nursing.
Okay.
So she's trans, she's a nurse, she's a person of color, she stays in Mitchell's Plain. What I love about their story is that they're always checking back in terms of what's happening at the shelter. Can I come back and give a talk? Because they know what it is, they know what they've got, what people are going through. And they've also worked with the city where they work with street people.
Sure.
So they know, like, okay, I don't only want to be a nurse or a home-based caregiver, but I still want to work with street people because I know their story. That's the one success story. The other one, I can't remember where in Africa they're from, but I think it's Nigeria. They were with us last year, and it's a man. He's gay, and he went through our programs, and he left. Well, this person was also busy with their legal paperwork through another organization, and while he was staying with us, as we're getting his paperwork ready, he had opportunity to go overseas. And he went overseas, but he just needed this 3 months just to be with us. And he sent us such a beautiful letter to say thank you for the time that he was with us. But at the same time, it was not only the space, but what he discovered about himself, what he discovered about his sexuality, but also how he linked it back to his spirituality and his religion.
And the personal growth that took place.
Absolutely.
Could sort of send him on his way.
Absolutely. So different people's stories vary. And for us, it's just, for me, a success story is if I can help just one person. You know, and then, okay, I've done my job. But if that person has taken the programs and applied it to their life, that's an even bigger success. To say, look, this is where I've come from, this is what this organization has taught me, and this is where I'm at now. That for me tells the whole story.
Fantastic. That is great. Sure. Thank you for sharing this. How do people get in touch? How can they back you? How can they get involved?
Oh my goodness.
And once again, thank you very much to Nicole for saying those wonderful things. And of course, we will hook you up afterwards and share some details. But how do people get to support you? Do they go on your website? We've got the details on the screen as well. How does it work?
So we are on Facebook. We've got a WhatsApp line as well on the Facebook. So that WhatsApp line is linked to our social worker. So whoever wants to access our services, she applies to them directly.
Sure.
We also have a LinkedIn, which is Pride Shelter Trust. Then we have the Instagram. We are available on Instagram as well. And then I think we're on YouTube. I'm not too sure yet. Still pending. But yeah, those are the main platforms that we are on. Then our website will give you an overview of our programs, and also give you a bit of a background of the programs, but also a bit of testimonies of our residents.
Wow.
So you can find it all on there.
But the easiest way would just be to go to pridesheltertrust.org.za. It will be as easy as that. Nicole, it has been a real privilege talking to you.
Thank you.
Are you telling our time is up?
No.
Jeez, I was just gonna say.
You want to talk more? You want to? Do you have questions for Rhoda?
For Duga.
Maybe an invitation, not a question.
Oh, there we go.
Invitation. Come to our space. Come and check out our space. Come and meet our residents.
Nicole's his pleasure. You know where to find me. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Mark Saul says, I will most definitely be making a donation to the Backer Buddy. Be sure to get in touch with Nicole and that t-shirt.
Oh,
There we
there we
go.
go,
Thank you.
Mark. Well
There we go,
done.
Mark. Thank you very much. Thank
Oh,
you very much.
stunning,
A lot
stunning,
of people follow your outstanding example. Really fantastic. And that is the wonderful thing about the viewers and the family around Mahala Monday, people who watch, because we have people like you who come on here and share a story.
Oh,
And these are difficult stories. And the problem is, in society sometimes we turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
You know, something don't happen in your backyard, you look the other way.
Absolutely.
And let's be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That's just part of human nature.
Exactly.
And because there's a lot of it that happens, it doesn't make you a bad person if you turn the blind eye. I'm a big turner of the eye, you know. It doesn't make you a bad person, but you've got to be aware of what it is. And especially if problems exist where there's no need for it to exist. There's no need to discriminate. Because as
So
soon as you
true.
do that, that lacks humanity in all shapes and
All
forms.
shapes.
So there's no need for you to do that. So that shouldn't exist.
Correct.
And that is it. And certain people, we sometimes, life throws you a curveball, and yes, a substance takes a little bit over here and there, but we need support. We need proper
Absolutely.
support. And then this is important. And I'm glad you're getting some support from the government. They are there. Because I've always been a firm believer that government can join us.
Almost
The government
definitely.
can join us.
Absolutely.
We'll find the
Exactly.
solution. Just be there. Don't be part of it. Because I think in most instances it works like that. But it's
Yeah.
great to see that there is involvement. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I've got your pamphlet here, so a beautiful, colorful one. So I was reading some of the shelter residents, and I mean, this stood out, and I thought to myself, you know what, this is the feelings of some of the residents that's been there. And one it was, it's a resident number D19. D19, everyone. It's like nobody sees you. You lose your whole life, and no one cares. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. But then I arrived to the shelter and suddenly everything changes. I suddenly had a chance. Oh my word, I don't want to get emotional. That is D19. So just how that impacted their lives. And this is the challenges a lot of people face out there. Then S55, that's the other one. The graduate of the shelter. This was a graduate, everybody. I was on the street for 6 months. I knocked on the shelter's door. They opened it with a smile, ... I knew I had finally arrived home. I wouldn't have stood a chance without them. Guys, hats off to you. I mean, wow. It's so emotional. And you know what? There's so many of people that's actually listening to that now and saying, geez, that's what I'm experiencing. That's what I'm feeling. You know, and the fact that you have openness, and that's why I felt and I think Dougal as well, we needed to have you here. We needed to make it aware of the fact that this is challenges that we're facing in our society today. It's part of our lives. And if we're not talking about it, nobody else is actually going to know they're sitting with a challenge.
Absolutely.
People are thinking they're isolated. Families thinking they're isolated. And they're sitting with this problem alone. No, you're not alone. You know what? Reach out to the shelter. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for making this difference. I mean, to know for the fact there is a shelter out there.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Nicole, that is where we're going to leave it. Listen, I got to just say we wish you all the best, and thank you so much for
Definitely.
taking the time and joining us here on Mahala Monday. It's been a real pleasure having you here. Thank you very much. We wish you all the best. But
the
before we say
best.
goodbye to you, let's quickly go on a comment there.
Jason.
And Jason first says, I love the app, guys. Jason, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you for saying that. That is very important to say, and it's a great way to get a real one. But once again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank
We wish
you.
you absolutely all the best. All the best.
Exactly.
So there you have it. It is the month of February. It is also Pride Month. And it is so important what Rhoda has been saying, because the Pride Shelter Trust is Africa's first formal haven that provides short-term accommodation to the LGBTQI plus minority groups, and especially during those crisis moments
So true.
when they most need it. That is where the Pride Shelter Trust steps in. And we all can just imagine for that moment what it would take for you to seek the help, the trauma that you have gone through.
So
That is the important bit. What we need to do is support. And whether that is volunteering time, whether that is in a monetary form,
Oh, yeah.
please visit the Pride Shelter Trust website pridesheltertrust.org.za and find out more. And I'm sure you could pick up the phone and drop Nicole Alexander an email. She will be too happy to hear from you, just to have a conversation. But sometimes just making a contribution is just having the conversation. And as you know now, this is the first formal haven of a sorts that is here.
Oh, yeah.
It is very important. So it's a huge gap that is being filled here, Rhoda.
Very big gap. Oh, you know,
It is a huge gap.
it's really so emotional for me because the challenges is there, Dougal. It is out there, and that's why I kind of relate very much to it, to the point that a lot of families have challenges. And guys, please, you know, you're not, like I've said earlier, you're not alone. You know,
No, you're not.
reach out, ask, have this talk. You know what the big problem is, Dougal? People don't talk about this. They don't have this conversation because they're too scared, they're too shy. I don't know why, but have this conversation. It just makes it easier for the next person to actually have a conversation with you. And actually, if they do sit with a challenge, to actually just tell you exactly how they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know, what the emotions are. You as a mother and a father, I'm sorry to say this, your kid, and you know what, a lot of challenges I think you're facing a lot of the 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and social media out there is obviously exposed so much that you as a mother and a father need to listen. You know what, I've got this thing at the end of the day, I'll rather have a child than a child that committed suicide. Because these challenges are tough. It's the reality. They face
it's hard,
this
Rhoda.
every single day.
hard.
And if they're sitting with these challenges and you as a parent shut down,
And
we don't have to have shelters in actual fact, because you as a parent need to be open to your kids.
and it's not that, because there is an easier solution. I don't think this is but it is an option. Whatever challenge, and let's be honest, Nicole said it herself, you know, they sometimes if somebody has to come out, you come forward, it is treated by, let's say there's a bit of emotion, extra emotion, there's anger involved. I've got a friend
exactly.
whose father tried to eat it out of him, and he was highly unsuccessful by eating it out of him,
Why?
or whatever it was.
Exactly.
The point is, as a parent, as a caregiver, as a guardian, whatever problem you face, let me tell you right now, you are not the first person out of 7 billion people to have gone through this.
So true.
There's probably 5 billion people who've experienced the exact same damn thing that you've experienced. So there are resources available. There are conversations to be had.
Exactly.
What did you do? And that's all you got to do. Don't react emotionally with it. Try to understand. I know it's difficult.
It's difficult.
And that's fine. That's fine, because there's no right, no wrong here. But the thing is, just take a moment. Do not abuse. Do not take the humanity, the dignity away from your action.
Exactly.
Maintain that, as hard as it is. And with time, you grow into it, you will learn.
Oh, yeah.
But it will be a process. And don't be hard on yourself if you don't accept anything as it is.
Exactly.
But there you have it. Do definitely go visit the Pride Shelters Trust website. Go pridesheltertrust.org.za. That is where you go. And they do outstanding work. What a show.
What a show.
Mark Sauls, Nicole Buckley.
What was it?
Thank
Jason.
you.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the wonderful interaction, the positive contributions. What can I say? This is absolutely fantastic. And once again, a big special thank you to Nicole Alexander, who joined us here in the studio. That is it from us here on Mahala Monday.
Subscribe, hit the bell, and share.
Definitely do it, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Until next time, ta-da!
Bye.